You may now begin your presentation.
Each year, South Nottingham strives to challenge the status quo. Through our projects, we challenge ourselves, our partners, and the people most in need.
We challenge them to develop as individuals and organizations. We challenge them to improve their own lives and transform the lives of others.
Guided by our ethos, creating business, transforming lives, we are South Nottingham, and we'd like to take you on the journey of our year.
I'm Zach Elsway.
I'm Abby Price.
I'm James Goodman. I'm Andrea Bernini.
I'm Georgina Pater.
And I'm Chris Scott. I'd like to introduce our president and clicker, Aaron Salomon. As you can see, the 5 criteria is on our screens and will remain so for the duration of the presentation. Today, we'll talk about our team challenges, followed by our brand new unemployment local projects, followed finally by our 2 international projects.
There are 3 key elements to our team's sustainability: our finances, the engagement of our corporate partners, and the development of our Needs Assessment Committee, also known as the NAC. Last year, our commercial venture team made a small loss of £200, so our challenge this year to turn this into a profit. So we developed our very own travel business. It's called South Travel and offers people more than just a chance to get a suntan. It has a huge social impact too. All its offerings are volunteering opportunities to students. For example, the Ghana Volunteers Placements is sending 62 students to Ghana to help the lives of 200 people there. We are enabling students to transform lives around the world and have raised £4,000 profit in the process. We now have more sustainable streams of income.
One of the developments we are most proud of this year is our Needs Assessment Committee. It comprises of corporate partners, charities, and university academics. These experts help us to continuously assess the community's needs, and they ensure that we consider relevant social factors when running our projects. Our Needs Assessment Committee wires us into the communities within which we work. Our students come and go, but our Needs Assessment Committee allows us to ensure our projects are sustainable, and it helps us focus on long-term solutions. Our 3rd key element is our corporate partners. They help us develop as members and provide constructive feedback. Thank you for your time, effort, and commitment.
We will now present our approach to our new local unemployment projects. This year, we have focused on the problem of long-term unemployment in Nottingham. Our Needs Assessment Committee, and in particular, Nottingham City Council, highlighted long-term unemployment as a serious social issue. Long-term unemployment refers to someone who has been out of work for over a year. We found through the people we worked with, they struggled to re-enter the workplace. They struggled because they felt out of touch with the working world. The solution we created was an unemployment umbrella, which can be adapted to meet the challenges of each individual. And we apply this to all of our unemployment projects. Their challenges become our challenges.
The umbrella consists of 4 sections. We begin with Section 1, identifying the individual's challenge. Then move on to Section 2, specific training. Section 3, work experience. Section 4, a support network, or a combination of the 3. We will now look more closely at the individual sections through drawing on examples of a few of our unemployment projects. Identifying the challenge. This involves getting to know each person, understanding their ambitions, and more crucial to us, the challenges they face in achieving this. An example of this is in our SMILE project, supporting mothers into learning and employment. We met Amy, a young mum, whose challenge was to get back into work. However, she needed a job with flexible hours, but due to being unemployed for so long, she lacked the confidence to do so. Her challenges included regaining the confidence she lost and finding a flexible job to fit around her son.
Specific training. These involve formal qualifications and workshops designed by South Nottingham to transfer the skills needed for specific jobs. Through Prisoner's Dilemma, another of our local projects, we created social development and employability workshops to assist in the rehabilitation process of the prisoners, helping them to reintegrate effectively into society once released. 24 inmates at Nottingham Prison have undergone this process, and we are currently working with more on a monthly basis.
Work experience. Some individuals have to gain practical skills before they can regain employment. Work experience bridges the gap between unemployment and employment. We met 2 female ex-offenders who wanted to gain employment in the catering industry However, they lacked experience to get a full-time job. So we created a community cafe through our Changes project, allowing them to develop the skills they need.
And finally, the support network. This is essential in continuously supporting individuals that we work with. For example, in our Greenlight project, we work with women who want to exit prostitution. We do this through the creation of a book where 15 women come together and share their experiences, providing emotional relief and encouragement to each other, creating a peer support network.
Our Restart project is an example of how our unemployment umbrella can be adapted to fit all 4 elements. Through the NAC, we identified the challenge. Long-term unemployed people do not have the necessary skills to gain employment. We partnered with South Nottingham College to create a retail qualification as it provides transferable skills, where we would offer training and mentoring. All participants have the opportunity to gain work experience. And finally, we offered a continued support structure for any time before or after they gained employment.
So far, the Restart project has helped 2 out of the 7 people secure a job, and the rest are currently in the interview process. They have overcome the challenge to re-enter the workplace and are back in touch with the working world. These are just a few of the challenges we have tackled this year through our local projects. We have also tackled global challenges through our projects Future for Jaffna and Kusaidia Mombasa.
Jaffna, the main city of northern Sri Lanka, was once a prosperous market town. But in recent years, it has been the centre of a 30-year civil war between the Sri Lankan army and Tamil Tigers, which ended in 2009.
Jaffna, people are saying, just like Singapore, that we have everything in Jaffna. In the family, we have all house, all vehicles or bicycles, and children are studying well, and there is no problem for anyone.
17,000 Tamil women were widowed by the war. Jaffna is a highly militarised region where landmines remain. The women live in fear of the army and their movement is restricted. But through all this, the widows of Jaffna must try to rebuild their lives.
Before being able to empower these people, we had to overcome huge challenges. One of the areas we wanted to work in was undergoing a large demining operation. We even had difficulty just getting into Jaffna, requiring a Ministry of Defence security clearance. This project will present our team with new challenges.
Future Jaffna is a registered charity established by South Nottingham, which aims to return the widows of Jaffna as far as is possible to their pre-war quality of life and standard of living. We conducted a thorough needs assessment by first meeting with over 20 organisations in Jaffna, including 3 branches of the UN, HSBC and representatives of the Sri Lankan government. These organisations highlighted that the widows of the recent war were those most in need. The widows were dependent on unsustainable charity handouts, but needed a sustainable source of income. Working in Jaffna, we are addressing 2 of the UN Millennium Development Goals, the eradication of extreme poverty and the promotion of gender equality and empowerment of women.
For the last 3 years, the widows of Jaffna have become dependent on government grants. This money is running out quickly. The women must start to earn a sustainable income, or the family situation could become even more dire. Future for Jaffna, unlike other charities, does not believe in handouts. Our aim is for the widows to have sustainable incomes and profitable businesses. Despite their extreme poverty, the widows' biggest needs are social. They must learn to become independent and in control of their own lives.
To meet our aims, we had to tackle 2 challenges working with those of Jaffna. Firstly, their emotional vulnerability and their dependency on handouts. To work with the women, we needed a project partner that conducted emotional rehabilitation. One of the organisations we met, the Chinmaya Organisation for Rural Development, called Sri Lanka, offers spiritual and emotional support to 300 women across the region, ensuring they are emotionally ready to become the sole provider for their family.
However, when we first met CORD, they were not in a position to run livelihood projects. In order to increase the CORD's capacity to do this, we provided them with consultancy services. We taught them to to computerise and maintain their accounts and databases. We also enable them to restructure their field officer schedules, organising them by region.
Finally, we recommended that Cord should employ more specialist staff, allowing Cord's field officers to spend more time with the women that they help. As a result of our recommendations, Cord employed 4 more staff, including 2 more field officers, allowing expansion into a new region. The field officers can now spend longer with the women and help a further 70. Our consultancy work meant that we could begin the next step of our project, implementing livelihood projects to find income for the women and to reduce their dependency on handouts. Initially, only 24 of Cord's women were emotionally ready to work with us. Some of these women already had low-income individual businesses, such as selling spice. However, they felt isolated in their work and only made 27p a day. They didn't make a sufficient income to replace their grant and provide for their families.
To solve this problem, we developed a new business model, the Value Chain Association. We designed the VCA model to consider the precise needs of the women, their economic needs, and more crucially, their social needs. A VCA is a small chain of production and sale, where each individual specialises in a specific role, adding value to the final product. Initially, 6 tailoring VCAs were set up for the 24 women, which were separated by region. We identified tailoring as a high-margin business that would also be profitable. The women made products from skirts to school bags and were able to sell to local businesses and wealthier families.
The VCA has both economic and social benefits. Firstly, working groups of 4. The women have a close support network. They continue to provide each other with vital emotional support. Secondly, with each woman having a clearly defined role in the VCA, they had individual responsibility, which combined with the women's commitment to each other for their work, they led them motivating one another to work. Finally, having individual production and business roles, the women gained expertise in their areas. They made fewer mistakes, became more efficient, and as a group made better quality products.
The benefits of our VCA business model have quadrupled the income of the 24 women from 27p to £1.10 a day. Together, the women now have a sustainable support network. They are no longer reliant on government grants, and they're in full control of their own lives. Our VCA model is now being expanded into other business ventures, such as Palmyra products, and is empowering a further 11 women. Cord have agreed that once the remainder of women are emotionally ready, all 370 women they work with will be placed in a range of different VCAs.
Future for Jaffna has developed a business model based on the precise needs of the widows in Jaffna, most effectively empowering them to provide for their families. The VCA model has quadrupled the incomes of 24 widows and, including their families, has raised 103 people above the poverty line. We have now addressed 2 of the UN's Millennium Development Goals: the eradication of extreme poverty and promotion of gender equality and empowerment of women.
The needs of these women were both financial and social. Yes, we quadrupled their incomes and lifted their families out of poverty, and we're proud of that. But the biggest need of these women was social. Social, because these women were once married and had small family businesses, but the war took all of that away from them. Social, because these women have been dependent on unsustainable charity handouts that have or will run out very soon. Social, because they have lacked the confidence and motivation to rebuild their lives alone after everything they've gone through. Social, because these women were frightened about their futures. We can't begin to comprehend everything these women have gone through, but they can relate to each other. That's why, in a value chain association, the women are working together to overcome their challenges. They are running profitable enterprises, providing for their families, and are now in control of their own lives.
We will now move on to our next international project, Kusadia Mombasa.
Karen Magongo, welcome to Magongo.
Magongo is an urban slum on the outskirts of Mombasa, home to over 250,000 people, of which at least 90% are unemployed.
It's not easy living in Magongo. The average wage is just £1.20 per day. But in order to really understand what Magongo is like,
We started this project working to improve the revenues of Glad's House, a charity in Magongo which aims to rehabilitate the street children there. But after discussing with the NEC experts, we realised that working with Glad's House to indirectly help the street kids was simply tackling the symptom. Magongo had problems which were far deeper than that. Together with our NAC, we worked out that one of the causes of people living on the Magongo streets, when people think of the developing world, they picture problems of unemployment and absolute poverty. But one thing you don't hear about is energy poverty.
Energy poverty in Kenya is when people are forced into poverty as they have to spend 30% of their income simply for buying fuel. For people in Magongo, life can be a daily struggle to match income to costs. You don't hear about these people that have low-paid jobs but still struggle to make ends meet. And for them, there is no bigger and no faster rising cost than that of cooking fuel. In the last 8 months alone, the price of charcoal has risen 50%. When fuel rises to this level, something has to give. So whilst the work Glad's House do with the street children is vital, a sustainable solution would focus on helping people make ends meet, stop putting an end and stopping them ending up on the streets in the first place, eradicating energy poverty.
The solution we came up with our NAC was to solve the needs of this community. It was through a briquette. The average family in Magongo needs 2 sacks of charcoal each month for cooking fuel, costing them £18, half of their monthly income. Put simply, the briquette we have created with our NEC is a viable alternative to charcoal as a cooking fuel. When we trialled the briquettes, we found it reduces people's charcoal dependency by half, saving £9 a month, a quarter of their income.
It also has environmental benefits, as it is made of local waste materials, such as clay, waste charcoal, paper and food waste. Magongo is littered with this, meaning supplies are extremely easy to come by. We work with Glad's House to create a briquette social enterprise, increasing their revenue for their sustainability, but also providing a huge benefit to the local community. This social enterprise empowers the street kids as they work in the business during the rehabilitation process. For example, we taught Jenny how to sell door to door, increasing the knowledge of the briquette farther around the slum, but also providing her with key business sales skills.
We worked with Riziki, the caretaker of Glad's House, to ensure the success of our social enterprise, as he had extensive community knowledge and he truly believed in the positive impact of the briquette. We empowered him with the knowledge of how to make the briquette and the ability to manage the social enterprise. Since everything is waste collected from the streets, there are no costs involved in making the briquettes, so all profits go back to Glad's House. We provided them with a pressing machine, increasing the quality of briquettes, and we worked with them to create a permanent shop in the slum, increasing the awareness of the briquette.
So far, the shop has sold 1,600 briquettes at a price of 5p each. From these sales, Glad's House has made an £80 profit, meaning they can provide more street children with first aid, school books and soap. 80 families have been able to buy these briquettes, saving a quarter of their income, bringing them out of energy poverty. We've also expanded sales of briquettes to 3 local schools for them to use as part of their lunch programmes for the students. In these schools, we set up Magongo's first recycling scheme. Riziki now collects all of their used paper. This means Glad's House has a sustainable source of material for the briquettes.
Magongo has a population of 250,000, and after proving the briquettes work, we want to expand its use so more people could be lifted out of energy poverty. We have set up another social enterprise at a church on the other side of the slum to sell briquettes. We also ran sessions with an additional 140 people, teaching them both how to make the briquettes and training them to run a small-scale briquette enterprise.
The results of a Consignum Ambassador project are economic, because Glad's House and the local church now have profitable social enterprises. 80 people are saving a quarter of their monthly income by buying briquettes, and 140 people in Magongo can now make and sell their own briquettes, having sustainable fuel for the first time.
Social. because we empower street children through our social enterprises. They are given the rehabilitation they need to live a normal life.
Environmental, because 3 local schools now recycle all of their used paper and the briquettes are 100% waste material.
In summary, South Nottingham created a new fuel source that provides an income so a vital charity can continue its work and helps street children in the rehabilitation process. More importantly, it is a product that alleviates energy poverty for 220 people. Families can now spend more money on essential things like medicines, better food, and a constant supply of clean water through saving 25% of their income.
This year, South Nottingham have
charcoal, which is eco-friendly, waste products really cheap to make, and it burns a lot longer. We're just really thankful for them being out here. They've been absolutely brilliant.
There is something we are achieving, and whatever we are having now, it's more than the way it was before.
Because find it and make money out of the waste.
You like the product?
Give you some more.
Yes, they need it.
Yeah?
This year, South Nottingham have created an unemployment umbrella in Nottingham, targeting the long-term unemployed, adapting this framework to tackle their real individual challenges.
Implemented a sustainable business model in Jaffna, quadrupling the incomes of 24 widows and bringing 103 people significantly above the poverty line.
Created a sustainable briquette enterprise and brought 220 people out of energy poverty through an environmentally friendly fuel source.
This year, we have overcome challenges and constantly challenged ourselves, our project partners, and the people we work with.
As our projects continue to develop, so too will our challenges. Without challenging the status quo, none of this would be possible.
Staying true to our ethos, South Nottingham, creating business, transforming lives.
We would now like to invite our President, Owen Salomon, to the stage for Q&A.
We will now begin the question and answer session.
Hi, Chris Runs from Procter & Gamble. In the Jaffna project, you partnered with Cord. I just wondered if you could tell me how you went about choosing them and specifically what they did differently after you got involved with them this year.
Okay, well, in our first trip to Jaffna, we met with a range of organisations, and when we knew we wanted to work with the women, we knew that we couldn't do that by ourselves simply because they're not emotionally ready to do that, and it's something, a side of the project, that we simply wouldn't be able to do ourselves. So there are 2 stages to our project. The first stage was our consultancy stage, and the main benefit of that is Cord now have the capacity. Originally, with the number of staff they had and the number of women they were working with, they couldn't spend enough time with each woman. For example, each woman had a business on their own, so for 20 women, they'd have to be visiting 20 businesses, whereas in a VCA, they're only visiting 5, so they can spend a lot more time one-on-one with the women. And our role in the project has really been choosing and adapting the right livelihood project for Cord and for their widows, and making sure it's implemented correctly, if there's anything we can adapt and change. So we really deal with the livelihood project side, and Cord are in charge of the emotional and spiritual help of the women.
Hi, I'm Stuart Mitchell from Wilkinson's. Could I ask a question on the finances? You're generating a very impressive 4,000 from Scythe Travel. Could you just explain the model that makes that work?
Yeah, I can explain the model. The model is we work with some organisations in order to recruit students onto volunteer or internship placements. So it works on a commission basis. So we will get these students onto that. We'll only do these financial things if they can have a positive social impact. For example, our Ghana Volunteers, it will be for 62 students to empower the lives of 200 Ghanaians. And for example, our CSCC Asia, one of the internship programs, will be to help students, to help them get more employability. So we only do it if it has a positive social impact.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin Williams of Gazprom Marketing and Trading. I was interested to know how you came across the idea of the briquette.
We previously worked with Glass House helping them to increase the revenue of their businesses. Through this experience, we found out that this was only tackled the symptoms of the people living on the streets and the street children. The real root of the cause of the problem of people living on the streets was energy poverty. That was a scalable problem present in all the region of Kenya. We brought this knowledge back to Nottingham, back to our NEC, and we came in contact with Mike Clifford, an engineer at our university that had previous experience of the briquette. We brought this back to Kenya and we adapted the briquette that he gave to us to the local conditions of Kenya and to the local waste materials present in Mombasa.
Ian Holding, Bayersdorf. How will the roles within the VCAs and the Jaffna project be organised on a long-term basis?
So CORD have constant contact with the women within the VCA. So obviously they know the women well. For example, all the women we work with in the tailoring VCA have a background tailoring knowledge, but within that group there'll be one woman who excels in embroidery, so she'll take that role on. And then in terms of business skills, they'll be divided up between the women. So obviously if one woman is particularly shy, she wouldn't be taking on the sales roles. And so that's why it's so important to have such a trusted project partner like CORD. We've empowered them with the knowledge of how best to divide up the roles, of how best to run the VCA, and entrusted the knowledge in that so they can then pass that on to the women. And if they receive any problems with the VCA, come back to us and we can work through that together.
And in terms of the long-term solution, we're also giving them new ideas of new VCA ideas. So they're able to not just do tailoring, but also the Palmyra products, and also a couple of other things like dried fruit and things like that. So they're expanding and they're finding new ways in which to empower these women, with our help, of course, they would be able to do it.
Maggie Crompton, HSBC. Just like to go back to the briquettes. For those briquettes to work effectively, you've got to make sure that you've got a reasonably consistent mix of waste. How did you ensure that you had that consistency?
First of all, we work in Magongo, which is a slum. Literally, we have waste everywhere on the street. Secondly, we have, through our help, through our contact with Mike Clifford, the engineer at our university, we found out that we were able to find substitutes in the briquette. So we, for example, we can use dried leaves, or we can use paper or sawdust to have the same effect. We provided the community with a booklet to, so everyone has the knowledge of which materials to use. But the most important thing is that you can use several ingredients in the briquette which basically have the same effect.
And Riziki, who is the person who's running the social enterprise, he's now known amongst the community as the briquette expert after the knowledge we've imparted upon him. So he's really able to transfer that, and he knows the consistency of the briquette, the perfect briquette right now, so he's able to impart that knowledge on others.
Quentin Clark from Waitrose. Just interested in the work in Nottingham's prison. How did your initiatives fit alongside the existing rehabilitation schemes?
There were two main needs we found. Firstly, Nottingham Prison, when we were directed to them through our NAC, they had told us that an employability workshop they previously had to be withdrawn due to spending cuts. So within the prison, we essentially filled that gap. We're also meeting prisoners who want to meet with us on the outside to individually mentor them. This is especially important for prisoners who serve less than 12 months, as they are not put under the probation service and receive little, if any, support except for job seekers' allowance. So it was extremely important for the prisoners under 12 months sentence.
Nottingham, your time has expired. Judges, please join me in thanking the side team.